coming back to the book, it's intriguing to me that it's come at this point in your life. Why didn't you write this book 5 years ago, 10 years ago? So in essence, that in itself, while it's been percolating in your mind, you know, I mean, I thought that about that a lot, and I wanted to always ask you, why now? Why not 5 years ago?
It's also a good question, George. I'll start with it in response to that. I think I'll go backwards. I think 10 years ago, if I was to write a book, it would have been written for someone else and not for me. I would have had the idea of what a book should be and what people.
And it is a very honest. You know, I find it a very honest, almost kind of not a manual or an instructive piece of writing. More so that, again, it's telling people to be in touch with themselves.
Yeah, it is.
You know?
It's the inner journey. And when I came to having written, what I discovered actually, I mean, I didn't know that I write articles and things like that, but that doesn't make me a writer per se. However, when I started putting things together, in preparation, as in response to this book, because I had a title, I started working towards it, And what I discovered was I was actually resolving things. And it wasn't anymore sitting on the fence about this way and that way, because I have a tendency to understand many sides, as we all do.
Sure.
And in doing that, not have really mine. And so I challenged myself to say, well, what do you stand for? Right now. I mean, the next book that I write, because I can see myself writing a few more, I might decide, when I said a dippy I don't mind. It's okay to change. It's okay to evolve. It's okay to go sideways, backwards.
We are people, and that's what happens.
Yeah, but the thing is, I've got a place to move from now.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the diff.
Yeah. Well, I like the fact that you've made a mark, and you've made that mark, and you've taken that stand, and you've said, this book is what it is, and it's a mark in time, and this is what I believe in.
Yes.
Where a lot of people don't do that, and they flail. And going back to, what's written in here is that you're telling people, make a mark.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to make that mark. Exactly.
Don't
and I think a lot of people say, oh, how do you be an artist? I mean, I don't know how you be an artist. I don't know about you, but I just stand in front of things and I just switch off and just do.
Yeah.
And I think, sometimes all the judgment, all that stuff, it's synonymous with this. It's part of its journey. And I think that comes with time and wisdom. And I think you've pretty much got it in here. You've said that.
When you stand, George, in front of one of your blank canvases, what do you feel?
Oh, I'm excited. I'm so excited. I'm exhilarated.
It's a beginning of something. It's
a
not knowingness.
Look, it encompasses so many different feelings and emotions. My biggest one is excitement. And I used to, in the past, ring up the art store and say, oh yeah, stretch me 10 of 1.80 by 1.80
Yeah.
And I'd pay them and they'd deliver them.
Yeah.
And I almost didn't have a relationship with that canvas.
Oh.
Whereas now what I do is I stretch them myself.
That's interesting.
So it's almost similar to what you're going through here.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a different mindset.
It is true.
It's almost become organic.
Yes.
What's going on in here? It's an organic response,
Agreed.
And to answer that question, because I've taken the time to stretch things and whatever, I have a relationship with it already. So it's like, I want to jump in there and give it its history, its voice.
And I think, when it comes to, just talk about painting for a moment, people think in terms of colour, like whatever, yellow, red, and whatever. And that's okay to think in terms of that way. However, when you begin to connect with the yellow, because it feels and behaves different to the red, to the black, to the white, and then you have a different relationship. I find that because I don't like brushes very much. I like rags, for example, or just my hands. But because I like to feel the movement, it's basically what you're saying. It's connecting with your material, and the relationship then alters, and it just doesn't become a process. And that's not to negate other people who do it differently at all. Not at all.
Absolutely.
But it's just about making those marks, seeing what is revealed it's going to give you feedback. You respond to that. It responds to you, and backwards and
Well,
forwards.
it's an ongoing conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, you know, I think people should kind of learn to listen to that conversation and not suppress it, or, you know, because I find the biggest kind of act of expression is in the doing. Yeah. Not the pre or the post thought, you know, it's in the doing.
Just get in there and do
where the
it.
magic happens.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, people really need to just go on that journey.
What's your thought about mistakes? I mean,
I love mistakes. I create mistakes on purpose. I mean, I'm a masochist, you know. I love things that are wrong, and I love to reinterpret them and work with them and make them shine again. You know, I'm the guy that turns the bad into good, you know. I'm like, you know, Mother Teresa, you know, of material. I mean, you know, I love to find stuff that's, you know, discarded by others and turn them into things that people just, wow.
Yeah,
you know?
like your sculptures, actually.
Yeah. I went and bought hospital grade plaster at an auction. You know, I bought 10 boxes for $20, you know.
Nothing.
And I could wrap probably 150 bodies in them, you know. But I just wrap stuff up, and it's that whole notion of doing again. And going on that journey. When I buy these things, I don't know what I'm going to do with them.
Yeah. Yes. Interesting. But something flirts with you, doesn't it?
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
Things are always flirting with all of us.
Yeah.
And the trick is opening our eyes to allow them to come in.
That's the magic.
Yeah.
That's the magic.
And that's the thing where I think if somebody reads this, they're going to really enjoy that journey where they can, you know, trust themselves or back themselves and not be afraid.
Thank you,
because
George.
I back myself every day. You have to. Who else can we back? Why am I going to back you when if I can't back myself,
That's
right?
it. That's the other thing. If we can't back ourselves, we can't back another. It's impossible.
That's right.
It's impossible.
That's
it just becomes a process of being nice to somebody, you know, and not authentic. You have to go through your own fire.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, you know, through that fire comes amazing, amazing things, whether it be writing. I mean, this thing translates to people who are, it's not just about making imagery, it's about writing, it's even about living,
it's about living as well, correct.
And this is what, when I read it, when you sent it to me, I kept thinking to myself, you know, I'm so happy that it's not a, you know, art for dummies type textbook. Not that I ever expected it. However, you just don't know.
Well, you don't know what a person's got, what they're doing. That's true.
It's sort of synonymous to, like, again, you know, like a real spiritual journey where you have said to people, these are sort of what I know. Yeah. It's up to you.
Always. Yeah. And through the storytelling in there, you know, it shows that we're not alone because, and I think hearing other people's stories, life stories with respect to art and processes, etc., that you can just be, not because your story will be the same, but you can feel more courageous to go, well, I can do this. I can do this. And start changing your lens, you know, the way that we see something, especially from that kind of polarity of this is good and judging it and this is bad. How about just this is, and then just keep moving and moving and moving and eventually and something.